What if I told you that the difference between failure and success isn't talent? It isn't luck. It isn't money. In fact, one of the most successful entrepreneurs in Japan began his journey with over 100 failures. He was rejected, mocked, ignored, and many people believed he would never achieve anything meaningful. But everything changed the day he met an old Japanese master living alone in the mountains. The master didn't give him money. He didn't give him a job. He didn't even give him encouragement. Instead, he gave him 7 lessons. Simple lessons, lessons that seemed almost meaningless at first. Yet those lessons transformed a defeated young man into a person whose success inspired thousands. This is the story of Kenji Sato, and the wisdom that changed his life forever. The boy who could never succeed. Kenji grew up in a small town near Kyoto. His family wasn't wealthy. His father worked long hours repairing bicycles. His mother sold handmade crafts in local markets. From a young age, Kenji dreamed of becoming successful. He wanted to build something important, something that would make his family proud. But there was one problem. Nothing seemed to work for him. When he was 14, he tried selling handmade keychains. Nobody bought them. At 16, he started a small online business. It failed within weeks. At 18, he applied for scholarships, rejected. At 19, he applied for jobs, rejected. At 20, he tried opening a small food stall. The business lasted less than 2 months. Every failure felt heavier than the last. Friends who once supported him began moving ahead in life. Some graduated, some found careers. Others started successful businesses. Meanwhile, Kenji seemed stuck. Every morning brought new disappointment. Every evening ended with self-doubt. Eventually, people began whispering, maybe he's just not meant for success. The worst part, Kenji started believing them. One rainy afternoon, Kenji sat alone outside a train station. His latest business idea had collapsed. It was his 100th serious attempt at improving his life, and it had failed. Again, the rain soaked his clothes. People rushed past without noticing him. For the first time, he considered giving up completely. Maybe success belonged to other people. Maybe he wasn't good enough. Maybe the dream was over. As he sat there staring at the ground, an elderly man stopped beside him. The old man carried a walking stick made from bamboo. His face was calm. His eyes seemed unusually sharp. You look like someone carrying a mountain on his back, the old man said. Kenji laughed bitterly. I failed 100 times. The old man nodded. Then you're finally ready. Kenji frowned. Ready for what? The old man smiled. To learn. The journey to the mountains. The old man introduced himself as Master Haruto. For decades, he had lived in a small house high in the mountains. Many people sought his advice. Few understood it. Master Haruto invited Kenji to visit him, having nothing left to lose. Kenji agreed. The next morning, he climbed steep trails through forests and rocky paths. After hours of walking, he reached a small wooden house surrounded by bamboo trees. The place was simple, no luxury, no signs of wealth, no evidence of extraordinary success. Yet everything felt peaceful. Master Haruto poured tea into 2 cups. Then he asked a question. What do you want most? Success? Kenji answered immediately. The master shook his head. That is not what you want. Kenji looked confused. Then what do I want? The master smiled. You want certainty. The words hit harder than expected, because deep down, they were true. Kenji wasn't afraid of hard work. He was afraid of failing again. The master filled Kenji's teacup. Then he kept pouring. Tea spilled over the sides. It covered the table. Still, the master continued pouring. Stop. Kenji shouted. The cup is full. The master nodded. Exactly. He pointed toward Kenji. So is your mind. Kenji stared silently. You are filled with fear, filled with doubt, filled with the opinions of others. How can new wisdom enter a full mind? That day, Kenji learned his first lesson. Before growth can begin, old beliefs must leave. The bamboo tree. The next morning, the master led Kenji to a bamboo grove. He pointed at the tall trees. Kenji shook his head. The master explained. For years after planting, bamboo shows little visible growth. People water it, protect it, care for it. Yet almost nothing happens. Then suddenly, it shoots upward at incredible speed. Was it growing all along? The master asked. Yes, Kenji replied. Underground. The master smiled. So are you. Sometimes progress is invisible, but that doesn't mean progress isn't happening. One step. Several days later, the master took Kenji to a mountain trail. The peak was hidden by clouds. It looked impossibly far away. Reach the top, said the master. Kenji stared upward. The climb seemed overwhelming. The master laughed. Don't climb the mountain. Kenji looked confused. What? Take one step. So Kenji took one step. Now another. Hours later, he reached the summit. The master spoke softly. Success is never achieved all at once. It is built one step at a time. One evening, Master Haruto accidentally dropped a ceramic bowl. It shattered across the floor. Kenji rushed forward. "I'm sorry." The master simply smiled. The next day, he carefully repaired the bowl using golden lacquer. When finished, the cracks remained visible, but the bowl looked more beautiful than before. In Japan, the master explained, there is a philosophy called kintsugi. Broken things are not worthless. Their scars become part of their beauty. Then he looked directly at Kenji. "So do yours?" For the first time, Kenji stopped seeing his failures as proof of weakness. Maybe they were evidence of experience. A week later, the master handed Kenji a bow and arrow. "Hit the target." Kenji tried. Missed. Again. Missed. Again. Missed. Hours passed. Failure followed failure. Frustration grew. Finally, he threw the bow down. "I can't do this." The master picked it up. Every miss teaches the hand. Every mistake teaches the mind. The only true failure is refusing to learn. Kenji tried again. This time, the arrow landed closer. Then closer. Then finally, the river. The master took Kenji to a rushing river. The water flowed around rocks, around fallen branches, around every obstacle. "Watch carefully," said the master. "What do you see?" "The water keeps moving." The master nodded. "It doesn't argue with obstacles. It adapts. It finds another path." Life is the same. Successful people are not those who never face problems. They are those who keep moving despite them. The sunrise rule. On Kenji's final morning, the master woke him before dawn. Together they sat on a hillside overlooking the valley. The sky slowly changed color. Darkness gave way to light. The master pointed toward the horizon. Every sunrise follows a night. Every success follows struggle. Every achievement follows effort. But the sun rises whether people believe in it or not. Then he spoke the final lesson. Do the work even when you cannot see the result. Because results always arrive after effort, never before. Weeks later, Kenji returned to his town. Nothing around him had changed. The streets were the same. The buildings were the same. The people were the same. But he was different. Instead of chasing quick success, he focused on daily improvement. One step, every day. He started another small business, not because he felt confident, because he felt committed. He worked patiently. He learned from mistakes. He adapted like the river. He embraced failure like the repaired bowl. Months passed, then a year. The business slowly grew. Customers returned. Revenue increased. Partnerships formed. Opportunities appeared, not overnight, but steadily. 5 years later, Kenji's company employed dozens of people. 10 years later, it served customers across Japan. Reporters often asked him the same question. What was the secret to your success? They expected complex strategies, business techniques, financial advice. Instead, Kenji always shared the same answer. I failed 100 times. People laughed, thinking he was joking. But he wasn't. Without those failures, he would never have met the master. Without the master, he would never have learned the lessons. Without the lessons, he would never have become the person capable of succeeding. Years later, Kenji returned to the mountain. The small wooden house still stood among the bamboo trees, but Master Haruto was gone. Only a note remained. It contained a single sentence. The person you were looking for was always hidden inside the person you are. Kenji stood silently. The wind moved through the bamboo, just as it had years before. Then he smiled, because he finally understood. Success wasn't something the master had given him. Success wasn't hidden in a secret formula. It wasn't luck. It wasn't talent. It wasn't perfect timing. It was persistence, patience, learning, growth. One step after another. One lesson after another. One failure after another. Until eventually, failure stopped being the end of the story and became the beginning. You do not fail when you make mistakes. You fail when you stop moving forward. Every setback teaches something. Every scar carries wisdom. Every small step matters, and sometimes, the 100th failure is simply preparing you for your first great success.